Welcome to the Commercial Property Podcast. My name is Suzi Carter. I am a chartered surveyor. I've been involved in commercial property in the UK for 30 years and I've done hundreds of commercial property deals. I'm here to be your guide through the commercial property market, whether you're an experienced investor or whether you're literally thinking about dipping your toe in the world of commercial real estate. I will be here talking to you about all kinds of things commercial real estate in the UK, and I've also got some fantastic guest experts who are joining me. So please do subscribe if you'd like to follow, and if you'd like any more help or information on commercial real estate, please do click www.suzicarter.com, which is my website, and you can find out all the ways I can help you. So stay tuned for this week's episode. Welcome back to the Commercial Property Podcast, and today I'm going to be talking about how you can transform your investment portfolio and actually your life ultimately by just doing some simple daily habits every day. So what has inspired me to record this podcast is because I've been doing my summer webinar series. So what that is a series of 8 webinars over the summer. So when everyone else is on holiday, we're doing the summer webinar series. And basically what I'm trying to do is kind of help investors move forward in commercial, because really that's my mission. And I've been doing commercial property for over 30 years. I know the power of it. I know the power of it through my own investing as well. So it's really important to me that people could get going. And I think that there's a real perception with commercial property and with any investing, actually, especially if you've not done it before, and especially if you're in a day job, but even if you are an investor already and you're pivoting to a different strategy, is that it has to be really complicated. It has to be really complicated. And, if you try and look at everything as a whole, no matter what you're doing, whether you're doing a project, whether you're, moving house, whether you're building a portfolio, whatever it might be, if you look at it as a whole without breaking it down, everything is really overwhelming. And of course, what overwhelm can lead to is lack of action. So complete inactivity because you literally don't know where to start. And that is really common. And I come across that a lot, having helped and mentored lots and lots of investors now. I find that there's some real blockages to action. And sometimes it's literally a case of overwhelm. And in a previous episode, we've gone through some of the obstacles to investing and how you could overcome those. And that's all practical stuff. But really, what we're going to be talking about today is how you can build your daily habit muscle so that you can go off and invest in commercial property. And honestly, it's simpler than you might think it is. So, it's like, well, where do I start? Well, start at the beginning and then work up. I'm sure there's some really clever Winnie the Pooh quote or something about that, which just doesn't come to my mind right now. But, I think if you look at the success stories, I love reading autobiographies. It's one of my favorite kind of pastimes. And whenever you look at kind of the successful people, whether they're business people, whether they're showbiz people, it's massive action that they've taken. And, not just massive action, but they've taken massive action towards a very clear North Star, a very clear goal. And so what we do and what I do with my board members, and this is a really integral part of the board, I can give everybody all the knowledge you want. I've been doing commercial property for many years. I'm a chartered surveyor. I can spout knowledge for hours, right? I can bore you for hours about lease terms or about different investing strategies. But ultimately, at the end of the day, on the board, where we start is with the client. It's about you. Where do you want to get to? And start with the end in mind. And let's make sure that we don't have any false starts with our investing, because if we're going to take massive action, we don't want to be taking massive action in the wrong direction, because that just slows us down. And it also means that we're completely wasting time as well. So we're in a window of opportunity in this market where there's some great opportunities. Let's not go chasing something that we don't actually want or need. Let's get off on the right start. So today, what I want to do with you is, if you'll indulge me for 20 minutes or so, I'm going to take you through kind of the process that you need to go through. And the process that I take my board members through, obviously we go through this in a lot more detail and I hold their hand all through the process. But the process that you need to go through to get the results you want with your commercial investing. And by the way, this is true for anything you're doing. It's not just commercial property investing. So anything that you're going for. And how do I know this? Well, I know this because I've been in the same position as a lot of you listening to this. I left the corporate world 10 years ago. I knew what I wanted to do, but I didn't get the help and direction that I give my board members. But I did get a massive mindset shift through various courses I went on. And I basically danced around handbags, using a bit of a ridiculous term, but I danced around handbags for a good 2 or 3 years, not really knowing where to go. I had a big lump of money in my pocket, but I wasn't quite sure. I was scared of making decisions. And I think that fear can really hold you back. So I'd just like to break down kind of what you need to do. Now you can listen to this today and take it all in, and hopefully it'll all make sense. Or you can make an action list off the back of it. And I would definitely encourage you to do that. Also, week 4 of the summer webinar series, you can sign up on the link below for the summer webinar series. You can watch the recordings. Week 4, we talk about this as well. And I'm currently doing an accountability challenge in my Facebook group. So we'll put the link to that group as well. So if you'd like to join that accountability challenge, you absolutely can. And I'm going to be posting daily about daily actions, keeping people accountable and making sure that you follow through. So listen in. So really the first thing we need to start with is starting with the end in mind. We want to work out where we want to get to. We need a North Star, because if we go after a different type of objectives that isn't right for us, then we could be basically wasting a lot of time, as I've said. So what you want to be doing is grabbing a journal. I would strongly recommend you grab a journal. Sometimes these answers don't come particularly clearly. Sometimes I work very, very closely with my clients for a number of weeks on this kind of stuff. So, grab a journal, record what you're writing down, and your brain, your reticular activating system in your brain will start working overtime if you write this stuff down and you start thinking about it. So think about where do you want to get to, and why do you want to get there? So, are you at the cash flow stage where you just want to get daily and monthly costs covered, which means that you're not trading your time for money? You might want to leave a job. You might have a specific objective in mind as to what you want to do with your time, or whatever that might be. Write it down. And then work out. So say it's a cash flow target you're looking for. What is the target? And, the number I hear a lot from clients is £10,000 a month. What I would encourage you to do is work up in stages. So, if you can have, what I always believe in is micro targets. So work out kind of, by the end of this year, where do you want to get to? After another 6 months, where do you want to get to? And even if you miss it by a little bit, it's better to break it down than to have this massive target that again can lead to overwhelm. So work out kind of micro targets from your larger target. And then what we need to do is we need to work out kind of what you want to invest in. So again, on the summer webinar series, I've done a big piece on niching. If you go back through the archive of the podcast, you'll listen to me talking about niching. And of course, on the board, I talk a lot about niching. I work with clients very closely to work out their niche. So just some top tips for you, watch the summer webinar series, because I give loads of case studies of things that just work in the market at the moment. So that will hopefully give you some great ideas. And then in terms of geography and the type of property you're looking for, then again, work out, do you want to be hands-on or hands-off? What's your risk profile? Do you want to do physical works? Because obviously you don't have to do that with commercial. But, if you don't want to do physical works, then buying a property and subdividing it may not be for you. So do you want to do more paper-based stuff? Maybe buying a lease that's coming to expiry, buying a property with a lease that's coming to expiry and then extending it. So, work out what you want to do and what you don't want to do. And then obviously work out your capital pot. So you need to work out kind of what your capital pot is, and also speak to a broker. Last week on this podcast, I had Callum Brooks from Bond Finance on the podcast. Callum, I can't recommend enough as a commercial broker. So definitely get in touch with Callum and have a conversation about your, what the art of the possible is and financing requirements. So, kind of what we've done there, and obviously sometimes this can take a while, sometimes you'll get this quite quickly, but what we're trying to do there is we're trying to work out the North Star and basically what we're looking for. Because if we don't know what we're looking for, we can go out and invest in a shop, an office, industrial, a hotel, whatever, and we're just scattergun investing, and that just becomes hard work. Also listen back on these podcasts to Nilesh and Anki Bell, who have both been on this podcast, and they're clients of mine, board clients of mine, who've been talking about how they got started and their successes, and really inspiring stuff there. So, I'd highly recommend you listen in. Okay, so now we start with the end in mind. So how do we get going? So what I would highly recommend is that you block some time out every single day for this stuff. Now, if you've got an hour, block an hour out, but you can do 15 minutes. 15 minutes a day is really all that you need. Now, if you think about it, you could block it out for 2 weeks for the accountability challenge, or if you block it out for the whole year at a time that works for you, do you have 15 minutes at the beginning of the day, the end of the day? Would you be scrolling on Facebook for 15 minutes? Can you spare that time just to do these kind of daily habits? Everybody can find 15 minutes, no matter how busy you are. And exercising daily habits is like exercising muscles. It's about kind of basically making it so ingrained in your routine that it almost feels weird not to do it. So if you put 15 minutes a day in your diary, and then that just becomes the 15 minutes you spend on your commercial investing. Now, obviously, I'm not stopping you doing more than that. If you put more time in, you're going to move faster and get to your destination quicker, as long as you've got your direction of travel sorted. So, the top tip I would give you is, don't race off to try and find deals when actually you still need to work out where the direction of travel is, because I'm telling you now that will slow you up. And I've seen it multiple times where I get all these deals sent to me, but actually there's no rhyme or reason behind them, because you need to do that pause and do that piece of work first in terms of direction of travel and what your niche is. And then in your 15 minutes a day, what you need to be doing is, if you've not found your niche yet, we need to find it. So that will be a case of going onto the various portals. So we're talking Property Link Estates Gazette, we're talking LoopNet, we're talking Rightmove Commercial, Zoopla Commercial, EIG Auctions if you're interested in buying an auction. But also don't forget local agent websites. So local commercial agents very often don't advertise properties on the big portals because they don't have an account. So go onto local agent websites. Now, I would also, so what you can do through local agent websites and the portals is start looking at what's available. Start looking at things that maybe look like a deal. Now, obviously, you do need some knowledge for this. So I've got loads of free content that you can listen to. So listen into that. But also, I obviously kind of hold my hand with my clients on this stuff too. So, you need to be kind of looking at properties to find a niche. It's very, now I can go pretty much anywhere and I can find a niche, but that's because I've been doing it for 30 years.
This episode is brought to you by Bond Finance Limited, your trusted partner for commercial property mortgage solutions. Are you an experienced residential property investor about to diversify into commercial property, looking for funding options? Bond Finance can help. Whether you're planning to expand, refinance, or make a major property investment, Bond Finance provides expert advice with access to a wide range of lenders, from high street to specialist. Book a free discovery session today to explore how we can tailor commercial funding solutions to your unique investment strategy. Visit www.bondfinanceltd.co.uk and take the next step in your commercial finance journey.
When you start out, don't be surprised if you're like, well, is that a deal? Isn't that a deal? Because you need to get your kind of eye in. And if you listen to Onki Bell's podcast, she looked at 30 properties. Now, you don't have to look at that many properties, but I would strongly recommend you get out in the car and you go and look at towns. You kind of understand it when you're out anyway with the family or out for business meetings. Then, just look around you. This is about putting a different pair of spectacles on and actually working out just getting your eye into commercial property. Are you visiting a town, like a little market town where there's no vacancies, literally, and it's booming? You can just feel it. And you look at the quality of the tenants and you're like, wow, like, why is Waitrose here? Or why is Pizza Express here? Or are you kind of you're visiting an industrial estate and it's buzzing, there's not an empty unit? They're really telltale signs that things are doing well. And then ultimately what we want to be doing is we want to be speaking to commercial agents. We need to be building relationships with commercial agents. Why? Well, because a lot of the deals come through commercial agents. A lot of deals are done off market. So, you need to get into those off market lists. And, we'll talk about that on another podcast. But also, they can help you with market intel. So rather than just doing a viewing of a property and walking around with an agent and leaving, when you're there with a commercial agent, what's the market doing at the moment? Is there any types of property locally where tenants are literally falling over themselves to take space? I had exactly this conversation a week ago with a commercial agent local to me, and I got loads of information. Basically areas to absolutely avoid like the plague, and areas and types of property that are absolutely doing well. Areas where there's lack of demand, etc. And it's such a gift to get this information. Now, a lot of people feel really intimidated by talking to commercial agents. Some commercial agents won't call you back, like genuinely, because they don't know you. They're obviously very fee driven. They'll do with investors they know. So sometimes you need to break through. So doing viewings can do that. But, if you're worried about what to say to commercial investors, why don't you practice on commercial agents outside of your patch? Now, what I'm not doing here is advocating that you waste agents' time. But equally, you could look at properties that may be outside an area that you're actively looking at, and, they may come off as deals. You might actually find niches, but it's a great way to practice. So that's just a little bit of a top tip for you. So what can you do in your 15 minutes a day? Well, you can go on the portals. And another top tip for you is create a separate email address to your business or personal address. Create an email address where all your links to the portals go into, so that when you sit down for your 15 minutes a day, you're not spending 15 minutes going through your inbox trying to work out kind of where all the links are. You can go live onto the portals and have a look. Obviously, if you're getting sent deals by commercial agents, you can look at those. But initially, you want to be looking at kind of finding niches that just work. And that can take a little bit of time, or you can find them pretty quickly. I've had board clients that on day one absolutely nailed their niche. They're very, very clear on what they want to do. I've had other board clients that take a few months to do it, but actually once they find their niche, they're absolutely flying because they know exactly what they want to do. And then literally they catch up because they're finding deals one after another. So that's absolutely the way to do it. So really the key about the daily habits is taking action, but taking the right action. So first of all, first phase of action is working out where you want to get to. Second phase of action is working out a niche. Third phase of action is finding the deals. So looking at the portals, speaking to commercial agents, and obviously ultimately stacking deals. And sometimes it's just a numbers game in terms of trying to stack deals that work for you, and just getting enough offers out. And, there's a lot of vendors, a lot of motivated vendors out there at the moment that are that are accepting offers. So don't feel, if you haven't got a churning stomach when you're putting an offer in that's too low, you're probably not putting the right level of offer out. So, that's really, really important. So 15 minutes a day can genuinely change the game for you. And if you think about, if you did this activity, so if you went onto portals, spoke to commercial agents and did viewings every day for the rest of the year, for the rest of next year, where do you think you would get to? And what happens is once you build that momentum is that you that you will basically build confidence. And with that confidence comes more activity, more action, and it just becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. But as with everything, it's getting that flywheel started that is a difficult thing. That there's friction, there's traction. You need to get traction. You need to get it moving, and it can feel like a real grind. You'll forget. So I've basically been trying to do some crunches every day to tone myself up, and it's funny because I'm very clear about starting with the end in mind. I know exactly where I want to get to. And so the first 3 or 4 days, I absolutely did it. And then the next day, I just forgot because I haven't got that momentum going enough. And then I had to remind myself and force myself to lie there and do however many crunches I need to do. And it'll be like that with this habit. You'll need to program it into your diary so that it's there. Don't ignore your diary. Don't say, "Oh, I'll do that later." It's in for a reason. Block it into a time that works. And then you'll need to get that flywheel going. And if you slip a day, make sure you make up for it the next day. And of course, if you're doing viewings, then that's not 15 minutes. That's likely to be, an hour or maybe even a couple of hours. So make sure you've got enough time to do that. But the 15 minutes just to get yourself going is super, super important. So this is really, really simple stuff, but it's also really, really easy not to do it. So are you going to go off and block this time out in your diary to get your momentum going? Join the summer webinar series. I'll put the link below. Join the accountability group in the Facebook. Again, the link is below. All you need to do is just to like the page and watch out for my posts in that group. It's a public group for the Commercial Property Academy. It started on Thursday, the 7th of August. So even if you're listening to this podcast kind of 3 months hence, go back into that group and do the challenge yourself. You don't need to wait. And of course, my board, this is the stuff that I work on with my board members. And we start with the end in mind. We get very clear on our North Star. I help board members form their niche. And, I know what's working in the market at the moment. So I can shortcut the niching process for clients. I also hold clients' hands through deals, make sure that that they get the right deals, and we get the offers out at the right level, etc. So there's only a couple of places left on the September board. It starts at the end of September. If you just want to have a call to talk about the board, then the link is below. And you don't need to have loads of commercial experience. All you need to be willing to have is take massive action. Those on the board who take massive action are the ones that get the results. It's a simple formula, but it's also really simple not to do. So 15 minutes a day can absolutely transform your commercial investing. Are you going to take some action now to make sure that you follow through with that? I hope you are, and I look forward to seeing you next time.